Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Brunswick's best has made its triumphant return after a couple of weeks off. Lance is back with another edition this week. Been a couple of weeks, but this week we are taking a look at those who have worn number 30 for the Minnesota Vikings. So why don't you lay that list on us there, Lance?
I got one huge name this week, a guy from the distant past, and then a guy from the recent past, and a guy that we have on board right now. With that being said, we'll start it off with none other than Bill Brown. Bill Brown didn't start his NFL career with Minnesota when the Vikings played their first game in 1961. The rookie Brown was actually on the opposing sideline as a member of the Chicago Bears. He came to Minnesota before the 1962 season and would be a part of the team for 13 seasons. He was named to 4 Pro Bowls in 5 years, 64, 65, 67, and 68. In the year he didn't make the Pro Bowl, he led the NFL in rushing attempts with 251. He was no slouch as a receiver either, as he snagged 284 receptions for 3,177 yards and 23 more touchdowns in his time in purple. By the time he retired, following the 1974 season, Brown held every meaningful rushing record in team history. His 5,757 rushing yards was with the Vikings still places him 5th in team history behind only Adrian Peterson, Robert Smith, Chuck Foreman, and Delvin Cook. He also scored 52 rushing touchdowns, rushing touchdowns, which was a team record that was eventually tied by Foreman and surpassed by Peterson. He was named one of the 50 greatest Vikings of all time and was made a part of the team's Ring of Honor in 2004. He's easily the best player in team history to ever make the number 30 his own. Bill Brown, you made this week's Brunswick's best. And as the one good mention above the honorable mentions. With that being said, we'll move on to the little honorable mentions, and we'll start with none other than running back Mewelde Moore, who was a decent player for the Purple and Gold for 4 years as well, before moving on to Pittsburgh, where he also did very well. I was a big fan of Mewelde Moore in his time here. It was kind of when our running back room was in dire straits, almost kind of like right now, in my opinion, if you really think of it. There wasn't really one standout guy. I think we had Mewelde Moore and maybe the tail end of Michael Bennett and who else was it as well? The Wizinator, Ontario Smith, of course. Yes. Anyways, with that being said, he was primarily a change of pace option at running back and also had some impact in the return game, which I thought is where he really excelled, was as a punt returner and kick returner. That's a big place for us back in the day. In fact, he's one of only 5 Vikings with multiple kick and or punt returns for touchdowns in his career, along with Marcus Sherrills, Percy Harvin, Cordell Patterson, and David Palmer being amongst the others. And for that, you get an honorable mention today on Brunswick's Best. And to end the episode or the segment, we have none other than C.J. Ham, who joined the Minnesota Vikings as an undrafted free agent in 2016 out of the small, moderately unknown college of Augustana located in Sioux Falls, South Dakota. Ham came into the league as a halfback, but quickly and smoothly transitioned into the nowadays rarely used fullback. With that being said, Ham has had a great career up to this point, at that, to say the least. In his time here, Ham has been the tough and rugged, do-it-all type of player for us at that position. Whether that be sealing up blocks for the quarterback in protection or opening up holes for former and current running backs, whilst also being able to help extend drives through the air or on the ground at critical spots of the game. Yes, Ham has stuck around since being added to the roster in 2016. Not only has Ham been one of the few to still do it at his labeled positional spot of fullback, but he has also provided great leadership and has been a respected player on and off the field with all that he has done in the community. Yes, Ham is a fan favorite, and deservedly so. And that is why the Hammer gets a mention on this week's Brunswick's Best. With that being said,
and an addendum on CJ Ham before you finish her up. With the San Francisco 49ers going to the Super Bowl, Juszczyk is not, of course, playing in the Pro Bowl, so CJ Ham has been named to the 2024 Pro Bowl.
Perfect. Add that, because I think he's already been on there 2 times, so add that to his list as number 3. So with that being said, that ends this week's episode of Brunswick's Best.
Alrighty, want to thank you guys all again for watching, joining us every week. We really appreciate all the support that you guys have given us over the last 3 years. We're almost through 3 years of this show now, or Vikings Uncensored as a whole anyway. And I want to thank everybody again for that. Make sure you tune in Friday night as Brunswick and I will have another episode of the regular studio show, 6 p.m. So stay tuned for that. Give us a like, give us a follow, check us out, and join us for the ride because we got a lot of stuff coming in the off season here. So with that, take us out, Lance.
SKOL, we'll see you next week. Oh, and this week.